Hello and welcome. This is the S33 Electrical channel on YouTube. My name is Sam, and today we're doing a video on the topic of should I go to college or should I enter the workforce and learn a skilled trade. And I've had this come up a few times recently. I'd say within the last 6 months I've had a few different people tell me about how skilled trade's making a comeback and it's the way to go now, being that you can go to college and you're not even guaranteed a job. And I had one guy he was telling me about how he went to college and didn't even really start making money until he started thinking like someone who didn't go to college. And this has come up a few times, so I thought it'd be a good video topic because that's what we do here on this channel, is we kind of dive deep into these subjects of things that are around construction. And for me, people that follow the channel, I'm an electrician and I'm involved in the skilled trade. So what I want to do today is we're going to go through the pros and cons of both college and skilled trade. I have Julie here with me. I'm going to ask that she chimes in. I have never been to college, never attended college, never wanted to. I started doing electrical work as soon as I graduated. Julie has been to college, so I'm going to ask her to chime in and give her thoughts about what we're talking about. And also we'd like to hear what you have to say too, so if you want to amend this video in the comment section, we would be happy to hear your thoughts as well. And I'm going to start by saying, if you go to college and you get a degree, you get a job that requires a college degree, you're going to have a cleaner work environment. So someone that gets a degree, there's a lot of opportunities out there, that there's very good paying jobs and for big corporations and into the government sectors, federal, state, and local. You get into one of those types of jobs, you're going to have a cleaner environment than if you're on a construction site. I just think that that's a fact, and that's just how it is. So if that's a pro to college, I'm going to put it as a con to skilled trade. It's going to be a dusty / dirtier work environment. It's kind of hard to write so far away. Would you agree with that, Julie?
I mean, maybe not necessarily cleaner, but
being you're working as a skilled trade, you're on a construction site. That's
not necessarily always true, is it?
Usually for most people. Now, if you get into like a service niche or something like that, it might be a little bit different. But even then,
yeah.
So we're in agreement on that.
Fairly, yeah.
College degree, a good job that requires a college degree is going to have a cleaner environment than one that doesn't.
Yeah, generally.
Okay. All right, let's do a con for college. I'm going to say it's going to be student debt, which isn't always true for everyone. Some people, their families have had it planned out for them and they're able to get a degree without debt. But for the majority, I would say that you're going to come out of college with a debt. That would be a pro here. No student debt. Unless you go to a technical school, which I don't necessarily recommend, but I guess you could have a debt from that.
Yeah, not just.
But typically you can get a job starting out without going to a technical school.
Yeah, and I was just going to say about the student debt in the cons section, there's not just pay your way. You could get you could get scholarships, grants, financial aid. So it's not always, an all or nothing situation, but most of the time, yes, there is student debt because of the issue of high cost.
Majority of the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's ways. I mean, if you have a high GPA or you're in sports or something like that, you can get a scholarship. I'm going to say a job that has a college diploma typically is going to be more stable and better benefits. And that would be a con here. Instability. So at least where I'm at here in Central Texas, a lot of jobs, especially as an electrician, you're going to be working for a smaller outfit. It's probably going to be a guy who it's not like you're working for a corporation where there's a severance package and all that. You have a guy that you're depending on to pay you as a worker, and at any time he could let you go, especially if you're working out as an independent contractor, which isn't uncommon. So you're getting paid without any tax withholdings, and you don't really have any benefits to go with that. And anytime you could lose your job. So I think that as a skilled trade and you're working in that environment, you have a bit more instability. You're not having the benefits as, say, an environment where you're on with, especially like a federal, state, or local government. Definitely there's going to be a difference there. Not saying that all people that go to college and get a degree go that route and work for a government. I'm just using that as an example of how there's more stability. You have a job with withholds taxes, you have the benefits. It's going to be easier for you to get a loan a lot of times. I'm going to say for the college, easier to get a loan. That's going to be just generally speaking, for someone that has a stable job with good benefits, they fit into the box, and banks are going to be more inclined to give them a loan versus someone who is maybe an independent person. Not saying that all people in the skilled trade industry are independent. It's just going to be typically easier when you have that type of work environment and that type of employment. Harder to get a loan. And everyone's different, every situation is different. This is just kind of generally speaking. Julie, would you agree with that statement, that as someone who has a college degree, that has a job that requires a college degree, that is going to be more likely, or it's going to be easier for them to get a loan versus someone who is an independent contractor working as a skilled trade?
Well, you're comparing independent contractors to people with a college degree, and that's not really equivalent. I would say that you're saying W-9 to W-2, right?
Basically.
Okay. Well, yeah, they want to see people with steady income, not a place where you're gonna work one day and the next day they might not have work for you. But
right.
Every situation is different, and
everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
But,
every company's different.
But I would say a majority of the time that it's a point worth mentioning.
Yeah, they definitely want to see more stable.
Okay, let's do some pros on the skilled trade. I'm going to say that you're going to have more flexibility and freedom. More flexibility and freedom working in the skilled trade, other than if you are, working in an office job for the state or the city or something like that, right? So when you're out, you're working in a skilled trade, you're working on a construction site, typically, not always, but you have more flexibility to make a phone call or to go here, to go there, to maybe do what you need to do when you need to do it, versus when you have a job where you're kind of need to be there to answer the phone or to be face to face with someone. It's not like you can just get up right in the middle of your session and take a phone call, right? So that's one.
Yeah, some jobs, it depends on the job too, but some jobs that are in an office or that kind of situation, you can take a phone call or make a phone call, or
You can or you can't?
can.
You can, yeah. So it depends. It varies. Some people do have,
It
higher.
depends on the job.
Depends on the job. Some
Really.
people are in a position where they do have a lot of flexibility and freedom, and they're still in that position.
Right, if they get, paid days off, or it's kind of under the benefits section, but yeah, if you have
Yeah,
an
benefits.
appointment you have to go to, but you're answering to somebody versus being an independent contractor and doing a skilled trade where you're working for yourself. But you can work for a skilled trade and not necessarily be an independent contractor. So
Right.
it depends on the job.
Depends. So these are general. This is general.
Yeah.
I'm going to say with a skilled trade, you're going to have more technical skills. Which will allow you to be more inclined to fix things at home, to do things like that, even though a lot of people don't get to own their home. But you still have those skills like
And you can help people out
Fig-
doing it.
yeah, help people out. You can fix, maybe fix your car. And everyone's different. Some people don't do work in skilled trade, but don't have those technical skills. But you would be more inclined to have them, right? Does it make sense?
It's a form of self-sufficiency.
Okay, so less technical skills, which isn't always a bad thing. If you got a nice job where you're making $90K a year, it's not a big deal to take your car to the mechanic and let him fix it, right?
Yeah, or if you just don't want to do it yourself.
Pros. That's gonna bring me to pros right here. Higher pay. Higher pay. Typically. Lower pay. For a con. Now this is just for the average person, the person that has a job, right? Now if you were to become an entrepreneur and work in a skilled trade, you might be able to do well for yourself and compare your income to the person over here who is very subjective, but we're talking about just job for job, like having a job, not being a businessman or an entrepreneur, but just having a job. I think that there's going to be higher pay for the jobs that do require the college degrees.
And not even just the higher pay, but
Maybe this depends on the level of degree that you have.
well,
right.
that's what I was going to kind of get into is that the higher pay, you have more of an opportunity to grow in a company when you have a degree, because certain positions require certain degrees, whereas the skilled trade, I don't know if there are different positions or different, salary growth with positions.
There's
just depends. I'm sure there's a kind of that glass ceiling there.
Yeah, it just depends on where you fit in. And there's going to be different opportunities. Like you can go to Las Vegas and they're paying electricians $50 an hour to wire up these casinos, versus here
Right.
you might have a medium wage of around $24 an hour. See?
Right.
So it just depends. It depends. It varies.
All of this is variable and depends, and we're not saying this is yes or no.
But-
This is just
But one thing to think about too is if we start talking about the entrepreneurial side, higher pay without stress of a business. So someone with a degree that has a good paying job, they're making $90K a year, which is about what a really good electrical contracting company would bring in, right? And they're making that without having to pay employees, do the bookkeeping, having to unforeseen loss, all the things that go into a company. Now there are people that go, especially like those with PhD, that a dentist or a doctor or something like that, they're going to have that business experience as well.
well, they
But-
usually have people do it for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they have like on some jobs, like say a director of some kind that's making $90K a year. That's really good money, and they don't have any of the the losses that occur.
Because they're working for somebody.
Yeah, they're getting
Yeah.
a check every week, so it's win, win, win. It's not win, lose, as a business would be, right? So you get that high pay, and you don't have the stress of operating a company, managing people, things, and customers, right?
Unless your pay is dependent upon the success or loss of the business. Because not saying that you own the business, but I'm saying like your performance
as
is
a college degree person.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
and
your performance depends on.
it could vary. It could
or
vary.
Your pay depends on your performance. Again.
And
that's the job.
some people do have a business with a college degree, especially the doctors. That is one thing that's standing out to me.
Okay, yeah.
And there are people that went to college and they do a business, and we don't know. Everyone's different. So their level of privilege and what's been handed to them and what hasn't.
But I mean, being a doctor
So-
is beyond college. Though. But yeah.
Right.
You're-
So lower pay. So one of the cons here would be higher pay. Pay depends on entrepreneur. Shit, I hope I spelled that right. It's a long word.
I can't see it.
It's hard to write because I'm sitting over here trying to make it work for the camera.
It's close enough. I don't know.
So the higher pay, the higher wages, and the skill trade is going to depend on you being a business person, right?
So you have to kind of make your own way, and that's what you're saying.
Right, and there's niches that you can fall into, and that just kind of goes into it. I would say a pro for skill trade would be easier to find employment. At least where we're at right here in Austin, Texas, there's plenty of jobs for an electrician.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so many for some type of director or one of the 100K year city jobs, right? Those aren't as readily available as.
Well, what about startups? There's a lot of startups here.
Yeah, and it's different. It's different, but I'm going to say just generally speaking that a skilled trade you can go to work easier than a
You
higher.
can start tomorrow versus like going through 6
degree.
interviews. And,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Do you have the degree that the other person has, or not?
How are we doing on time right now?
We're at almost 18 minutes.
Okay, so this might run into part 2. Do you have anything that you would want to add? I'm going to say here, fair competition
Yeah.
for your job.
Yeah, especially when you're. Think of how many people have
Unfair.
the same major.
Unfair. It's unfair over here because you have
It's still unfair.
illegal immigrants who you're competing with that don't pay taxes, and so maybe some do. A lot of them probably don't. But they're keeping those wages down. Versus here, everyone's kind of on the same field. Everybody's paying taxes. Everybody has a degree, right?
Yeah. You have about 5 seconds left.
All right, guys. We're gonna leave it at that. Hope you found this informative. Thanks for watching. Bye.